Welcome back to the smartest year ever, our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalist. My name is Gordy, and I was just wondering what happened to Abraham Lincoln's greatest speech. Not the Gettysburg Address, I mean the one so powerful that every reporter in the room forgot to take notes. Like and subscribe if you haven't so you can keep up every single day. I do this every single day this year. They say Abraham Lincoln gave a speech so powerful the entire press corps forgot to write it down. It happened on May 29th, 1856 at the Illinois State Republican Convention in Bloomington, Illinois. Lincoln wasn't yet president or even a national figure at this point, just a respected former congressman and rising voice in the newly formed Republican Party. But that day he spoke with such passion, fury, and conviction that no official record of the speech survives. Attendees would later describe it as the greatest speech of his life, a turning point for the anti-slavery movement, and yet not a single journalist published a transcript. According to legend, the speech was so electrifying that the reporters in the room just dropped their pens. One account claimed that the crowd was too captivated to take notes. Spellbound, one man wrote. They forgot to record it because they were too moved to move. It's a great story, but is it true? The speech, which has become known as Lincoln's lost speech, wasn't entirely lost. A few snippets were paraphrased in letters and editorials. One man, Henry Clay Whitney, a friend of Lincoln's, later claimed to reconstruct the whole thing from memory. His version included strong anti-slavery rhetoric and calls to moral action, but historians aren't convinced. He published it decades later when Lincoln was already a mythic figure, and his version may have been polished with hindsight. Still, we know the general themes. Lincoln was outraged by the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed new territories to decide for themselves whether to allow slavery, even if it meant expanding slavery westward. Just a few years earlier, Lincoln had still been cautious in his public speeches, trying to balance abolitionist views with political pragmatism. But that day in Bloomington, something changed. Witnesses say Lincoln threw off all restraint. He described the violence erupting in Kansas as hellish. He warned that America could not survive half slave and half free. He used moral language, not just legal arguments, and he rallied the crowd behind a new Republican coalition to resist the spread of slavery, uniting former Whigs, anti-slavery Democrats, and Free Soilers under one banner. The Free Soilers were a political movement that opposed the expansion of slavery into new U.S. territories, arguing that free men working free soil was the foundation of democracy. By the end of the speech, people were on their feet. The crowd reportedly cheered until hoarse. The journalist from the Chicago Tribune, Joseph Medill, the namesake of the Northwestern School of Journalism, later said it was the most powerful speech he had ever heard, yet no full text exists. So what happened? There are a few theories. One is the romantic one, that the speech was so mesmerizing, everyone really did forget to take notes. Another is more cynical, that the speech was so fiery, so radical, that editors were nervous about publishing it. At the time, even in the North, abolitionism was controversial. Printing Lincoln's words might have cost some newspapers readers or advertisers. There's also the possibility that the record was just lost. Paper gets misplaced, reporters get distracted. Some think Lincoln may not have written down the speech in advance, and without a transcript, there was nothing to archive. But maybe it didn't need to be recorded. The power of the lost speech is in the legend. It's the moment that Lincoln found his voice, not just as a lawyer or debater, but as a moral leader. It foreshadowed the Lincoln who would give the Gettysburg Address, the Lincoln who would issue the Emancipation Proclamation, the Lincoln who would, in time, become one of the most enduring figures in American history. So no, we don't have the exact words, but we have the impact. The lost speech helped galvanize Illinois Republicans, shaped Lincoln's political future, and lit a fire under a movement that would reshape the nation. Go check out my sources, which can be found in the YouTube description. Thanks to all of them. Thanks to you for being here. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. I'd really appreciate that. I send this to someone who likes this sort of thing. Go check out my 1-minute version at Smartest Year Ever everywhere on social media. And in the meantime, stay curious and stay clever on our quest to become the world's greatest conversationalists. I will see you tomorrow in the Smartest Year Ever.